Hello everyone, my name is Abdul Aziz Ahwan from Indonesia and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video, we are going to learn Flutter UI, which we are going to convert e-commerce clothing store UI design into Flutter. So let's get started. Alright, so first thing first, I want to say thank you to all of you who have supported me to this channel. And now you can also support me by click super thanks on YouTube. Alright, so today's video we are going to convert e-commerce clothing store, and this design designed by Bonnie VSCODE, and you can also check his channel link in the description below. Alright, so first thing first, you can get a copy this file into your Figma app. And I have copy Figma file into my Figma account, and this is the UI design file. So as we can see here, we have cover, assets, it's kind of like information for this project, like a color, and then font family, and then icon, and so on. And we also have a dummy image here, and we are going to go to this visual, and here we have three screens, but now we will focus on the first screen, this. And this is a license agreement and term of use. And don't forget to check his YouTube channel. Just click this. Alright, so first thing first, as usual, I want to create a Flutter from scratch. So I just open my terminal, and let's create a Flutter project by typing Flutter create and name our project here. So let's say Flutter clothing store app. Just press enter, wait a second. Alright, so I have create Flutter project. So first thing first, let's go to the project folder, and let's open with Visual Studio Code. Alright, this is our Flutter project. And as usual, I want to make it full screen. Alright, so this is Flutter project, and first thing first, let's import asset file into our Flutter root directory, and you can download asset file link in the description below. And once you have import assets folder into your Flutter root directory, you can see in this folder and all the content inside this assets folder, like an icon and then an image here. So first thing first, let's go to passpacks.yml, and first thing first, let's add Google Fonts. And as usual, I would like to use version 2.2.0 to avoid an error, and just press this pubget. And because we will create something like this, so on the previous video we have learned about Flutter staggered grid view. So let's add Flutter staggered grid view dependencies here. Alright, we have add Flutter staggered grid view. And the next one, because we want to import like a SVG into our project, so let's add Flutter SVG here. So this one, and the next one, because we have something like bottom navigation bar but with a floating, so we will use custom navigation bar dependencies. Alright, so that's all for our dependencies. And the next, because we have import our assets folder or our asset file into our project, so don't forget to add here assets, and we say assets to read all content inside our assets folder. And the next one is assets/images, because inside this assets folder we have subfolder which is images. So don't forget to press this pubget. Okay, so yeah, that's all for pubspec.yml. And the next step is we need to go to lib folder and create a new file, name it as appstyle, and the next one is a size config. Yeah, we just need to create two files here. So first thing first, let's go to size config, and don't forget to import material, and let's create a size config class that contains static variable here. And let's create a new static variable again, name it as screen width to detect device screen width. And the next one is for screen height. And the next for block size horizontal. And the last but not least, for block size but vertical size. Alright, and we need to create init function here, and we need to provide parameter build context, name it as context, and here we can initialize our static variable, and we can say here, and to read screen width we need to say just simple as media query data dot size dot width. And don't forget to add this to avoid null. And the next step is screen height like the before. And the next is for block size horizontal equal with screen width divided by 100. And for vertical, screen height divided by 100. Alright, that's all for size config. And the next step is we need to define our app styling here, so we can simply check these assets and we can focus on this color and then font family. Alright, so first thing first, as usual, we need to import material. And the second one is we need to import Google Fonts. And let's create a new constant, name it as brown. And we need to declare a color here using hex code. So we can go to here and just pick this hex code. Alright, we can see this color. Next step is another color, which is subcolor of brown. So let's name it as dark brown. And we need to declare hex code here. So we have this color. The next step is for gray family. So let's name it as the first color is gray. And let's declare hex code here. And the next is for subcolor of gray. So let's name it as K dark gray. And let's say the hex code. And the next for gray color is a K light gray, and provide hex code here. And the next for white color, so let's say white, and white color is FFF. Okay, and the next is for black color, K black, but here we not using pure black, so we use 111 111. And the next is for rating color, we use yellow, so just say K yellow and provide hex code here. And the next for border radius, so we use a double and set it to 12. And the next is for padding horizontal, so let's set it to 24. And the next is for border, input border, so let's name it as input border. So let's initialize using outline input border, and outline input border have a border radius, so we set it using border radius circular, and we use the previous value, which is K border radius. And the next one is a border side, and we use border side, and border side have a parameter which is color, so we use K light gray. That's all for this K input border. The next step is we need to set this font family styling. So let's name it as K, because the font family name is encode sans. So let's say encode sans bold. So we call using Google Fonts, and we say encode sans, and inside this we can set a font weight, which is for bold we say font weight .700. So we can just simply copy this 3 times because we will have like a semi bold, and the next one is a medium, and the last one is a regular. Semi bold is 600, medium is 500, and regular is 400. So we can just simply set this. Alright, so that's all for app style. So the next is we need to go to main.dart, and here, so let's delete everything. And first thing first, let's import material. And here, so let's create a main function. Main function, we can run app from here. Alright, so inside this run app, we need to say our app name. So let's name it as my app. And my app doesn't yet exist, so we can just simply create like a stateful widget and name it as my app. Alright, that's for my app. And the next step is inside this my app, we need to return something. So for the very beginning, we can return material app because material app has everything. So we can set debug so checked mode to be false because we don't want like an annoying debug banner on the right side. Okay, and for the home, we can use a scaffold widget because scaffold has like a bar and then bottom navigation bar, floating action button bar, and so on. Okay, so this is for my app. And the next is for body, we need to say home screen. This home screen doesn't yet exist, so we need to create another stateful widget here. Name it as home screen. Alright, so the next step is we need to go to our home screen, and here we can return something here. So to avoid nodes, we can use save area. And inside this save area, we can say child. And for the child, so let's see the design. Because this kind of like all component mixed together, we can see like this kind of like a bar, but it's kind of like a header section, and then we have a input or text field section, and we also have like category section, and below that we have like a grid view all the content here, and at the bottom we have floating bottom bar. So I prefer to use list view, and inside this list view we can say like children, and inside this children we can say for the very first, because this kind of like a line from left to right, so we can use like a row widget, and row widget has parameter which is children, and we can set like the first children is what we can say here, because this kind of like from top to the bottom, we can simply just say it's column. So column widget also have children, and inside these children we can start say text widget, and we can say hello. So we just need to copy this and paste here, and we also have an emoji here. And the next one is we need to give a styling here, just say style. And so let's check this kind of like regular. So we say encode regular. And because we want to change like another style, so we say copy width, and inside that we can say for the color, this color is a dark brown. Alright, and for the font size, it's a 14, so it's around what we say here, it's around 3% of screen width. I think 3.5. Alright, and before that we need to say here we need to call our init function from size config, and we can simply say size config init, and inside that we can say context. Not here, I think inside this. Okay. Alright, so that's for the first tag. So we need to copy this, give a comma here and here, and the next is we need to send this name, just copy and paste here. And for the size, let's set it to 4, and for the color it's same, but it's a bold, so we use K encode bold. So I think I want to check this screen, so I need to run. Alright, so we have two text here, and the next step is below of this column widget we can say this, so we can check. So yeah, this is the size, so we can use simply we use circle avatar, and what we say here for the radius, because the height is 40, we can simply divide by 2, so we get 20. And for the background color, we use K gray. And the next is for background image, we use network image, and we can provide URL here. So let's find random user image. So what we can use, maybe this one, or I think this, and just place. Well, it's too long, so maybe in this, and paste here. Alright, and when we hot reload, we will have this image. So we need to go to row widget, and we say main axis space between. And the next is we need to make sure that we can say cross axis alignment to be center. And inside this column we can also set the cross axis alignment to be start, and the next is for main axis alignment to be center. Alright, and the next is we need to wrap this row widget using padding, and we can set the padding to be symmetric, and we can say horizontal, and we need to call k padding horizontal. So we have a typo here, so we need to back to app style, and we need to say G here. So yeah. Alright, so we have a padding. And let's go to the design and let's hover to this text field, and we will have like a blank space. So we can use, as usual, we use what we say here, size box, and we can set the height to be 24, and maybe this. Alright, so below this blank box, so we can add this text field. So because this kind of like two element, this and this, so we assume that it's kind of like a row widget. So we can use row widget here, and inside this row widget we can have children. So the first children that we can say here is expanded. And expanded have parameter which is child, and for the child we can say text field. And inside this text field we can first let's style what we say here. So let's press this, and we can see regular, so we use encode regular, and we change using copy width, and what we need to change is color. We need to say k dark gray, not brown but gray. And the next is a for font size, so we can simply say size config block horizontal and times to 3.5 of screen width. And for now we can use like a simple controller, so we can use text editing controller. And for decoration we can use input decoration, and input decoration have many parameter here like content padding. So for content padding, let's say it's symmetric, and we need to say horizontal 13. And the next is a prefix icon. So we can say prefix icon, we can use const icon. So let's use icon.search. Alright, so we don't see anything here. So for the next, so we need to say here what we need to say inside this. We need to wrap this icon using another widget which is icon theme, and we need to say data here, and for the data icon theme data, and we need to say and inside this icon theme data we can say color. We use k dark gray. Alright, and the next is a hint text. So for the hint text, so we say search cloud, and for border we use k input border, and for error border input border again, and then disable border input border again, and focus border input border again, focus error border input border again, enable border. We use input border again. For the hint style, we can say encode regular, and we need to change the color like the previous, the gray, font size, times to 3.5. Alright, so let's hot reload and we can see look like this. Alright, so I think this not prefix or prefix, so we use prefix icon. Alright, so we will have look like this. And the next step is below of this expanded, we will have what we say here. It's kind of like a button, but we will wrap using container. And the next is below this expanded, we can use container. And for the container, we can check this and we need to set it for the height 49, width it 49, and we can say decoration, and we can use box decoration because we can set like border radius. We use border radius dot circular and we say border radius. And the next is for color, we can use K black, and for the child we can use what we have here, SVG picture assets, and we say assets slash we have filter icon dot svg here. Once we restart our app, we will have this icon, but what we need to say here, we need to push like a padding. So for the padding, let's set it's around at all, it's around 12. Alright. Okay, and we will have like a blank space here between container and expanded, so we use size box and it's around 16, and we can see like a gap here. And the next step is we need to wrap our row widget using padding here. So the padding is around what we say here. The padding is symmetric, and we can set like horizontal, and we use K padding horizontal. And now we will see a space on the left and right side. Alright, and below this text field, we will have size box again with the height is 24. And the next is below this, we will have like categories. So what we will use here. So let's wrap it using size box, and for the width, let's set it to double dot infinity. and for the height set it to 36, because when we hover this the height is 36. And sizebox will have child, and for the child we will use list view.builder, and list view.builder must have item builder that using context and index, and from here we can return something. And what we need to return is gesture detector, because we need to detect like a tab or others. So inside this list view.builder we can set like physics, we can say, or we can give like a bouncing effect, so we use bouncing scroll effect. And the next is item count, we will use like categories, we will create like dummy data, so we create categories dot length. And for scroll direction we will use axis horizontal. So let's create a dummy data first, so we can create here. So here first we need to create a list, let's name it as categories, and let's initialize data here, and we will have list of string, and inside this we will say like all item, dress, hat, and watch. So here all item, and then dress, and then hat, and watch. That's all for these categories. And the next step is we need to create another list of icons, because as we can see here every component or every categories has on icon. So here we can initialize using our assets file like all items icon, and then dress we will use a single quote, so dress icon, and then hat icon, and then watch icon. That's all for icon. And the next is, so let's create this one. So we will have list of string of images. So we will have like image 1, and then image 2, image 3, and so on. Alright, we will have 5 images here. So let's back to our list view.builder. And here, categories.length, it means that it will read the dummy data here. And what we need to say here, and inside this gesture detector, we will have on tab here, and we will provide a blank function here, and we will have set state, but now we don't have anything here. So and the next step is we need to say child, and for the child we will have container, because we need to set like decoration, and we use box decoration, we will set like color, border radius, and so on. So before that we need to set the height to be 36, and for the width it's based on the content. And before that we need to say I think its letter. We will focus here box decoration, and we will have color. And before that, we need to say, or we can check using a current variable. If the current equal with index, we will set the color to be this. So we can see like when the categories is active, the color will be brown. So we use brown here. And when it's not active, we will use white color. Okay, but this current variable haven't yet exist, so we need to say here, just simply create integer variable, name it as current. And for the first value, let's set it to 0. Alright, and the next step is what we need to say here. The next step is we can say border radius, and we use circular. And for the value is 8. And the next step is for the border, we can set like we will check it using current variable again. When the current equal with index, we can see from the design, when the categories is active, the border is gone or null, so we can set it null here. Or when the categories is not active or disabled, we can see like a gray border here. So we will have a border all, and border all have parameter like color. We can set k like gray and width it 1. And for the width, set it to 1. So we can check from this. Alright, with the stroke width or the border width is 1. And the next, inside our container, we will have child. And could you guess what kind of widget we will use inside this container? Because we will have two components like a title and then icon, so we will use row widget. Row widget will have children, and for the first children on, or the first widget here is svg.assets. Alright, so let's break down this UI design first. As you can see here, when the categories item is active or enable, the icon color will be white. The text will be white. And when the categories disable, the icon color will be, it's kind of like a black or brown. So we can set a dynamic assets file here. So we can simply check using current variable. When the current equal with index, it means that categories is active. We will use assets slash. So we can check this from assets folder. So let's say like, let's see like all item, we will have two file here, all item selected and all item unselected. So we are inside this asset folder, and we need to read from our list, which is icon based on index. So we can check this icon. We can see like this is kind of like not full file name. So it's just around this all item icon. So we can use dynamic here using assets, and we can have, or we can read from icon list, and here we can use, or we can add selected.svg. Alright, and when the categories item disable, we can use assets /$, and we can read from icon list based on index, and we can say unselected.svg. As simple as that. And we can check this. We will have like a size box here. For the width is 4. And the next is we will have text widget here. For the text, we will have categories based on index, and we need to give styling here. And we can check the font family is medium, so we use encode medium, and we need to change the color. And for the color, so we can check again, when the categories is enabled, the color is white. So we can check current equal with index, the color will be white. When disabled, the color will be dark brown. For the font size, we use size config times to 3. Alright, so let's restart our app. And now we will have these categories. And the next step is we need to go into container, and what we need to say here, inside this container, we will have margin, and we set it only, and we will use left padding. We will check if index equal with 0, we will give padding horizontal, which is 24, and it's not the first element, we will give 15. When we hot reload, we will have here. And the next, for the right, when the, what we say, when index equal with categories dot length -1, we will give value to be 24, and when it's not the last element, we will give 0. As simple as that. Alright, and the next, we will give padding here, and for the padding, we will have symmetric horizontal 10. Look like this. And inside this gesture detector, we need to go to set state, and inside this set state, we will say current equal with index, and restart. So let's try to tap on the categories item. So as we can see, when we select, the SVG icon will be changed. So it simply use this. Alright, we will finish this categories item. And below that, we will have stature grid view. And let's hover so we can see we have size box again. So below size box, we will have size box again with the value is 32. And below that, we will have stature grid view. Okay, so like the previous, we will use masonry grid view dot count, and we will delete everything first. And the first parameter we will use is a string wrap to be true, because this grid view inside another parent list view. So for the basic, we will say never scroll basic. It will disable scroll. And for the cross axis count, because we only have 2, this and this, it will be 2. And for the item count, we will have like images.length, and for the padding, we will have what we say, it's padding inside this grid view. So let's say symmetric horizontal, k padding horizontal. And the next is item builder, because it's kind of like list view or list builder. It must have context and index, and we can return something here. So as we can see here, this kind of like column widget. From the above, we have image, and then we have this text, and another. So here inside this column widget, we will have children. And the next, the first children, because this image behind this icon, so we will use stack widget. Alright, stack widget will contain children, and the first children will be position widget. And for the child, we will use clip rounded rectangle. And from here, we can set like border radius dot circular. And for the child, we will use image dot assets, and we have say assets images, and we can use $sign to call our image list based on index, and we give the format file here .png. And the next is inside this image asset, we will have box fit to be cover. Alright, and when we restart our app, we will have 5 images. So content or cover, I think cover. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to give like a cross-axis spacing, so we can check it's 20. and for main axis spacing it will be 23. Alright, and the next step is below the first position widget we will have position widget again, and we will have child using gesture detector, and for the child we will have svg picture assets, and we will say assets favorite cloud icon unselected, and now we will have this icon. So to check, we need to check this icon 12 from the right and 12 from the top. So we can simply say right 12 and top 12. Look like this. And gesture detector have on tab here. So let's look like this. And the next step is below this stack widget, we will have a size box. So let's check this. It's around 8. And below that we will have text widget. So let's say modern light cloth. And for the style, semi-bold, so we use semi-bold here, and we need to change color to be dark brown, and then for the font size times to 3.5, and for the maximum line just 2, and to avoid overflow we need to use ellipsis here. When we hot reload we will see our text widget. And the next we can simply duplicate this, and let's change to look like this, and maximum line just 1, and then for the font family is regular, so we use regular here. And we need to change the color to be, I think it's gray, and for the size just 2.5%, and we will see. And the next step we need to say here cross axis alignment to be start. Okay, and the next step is below this text widget we will have row widget, but before that we will give size box first with the height is 8, so set here, and below that we will have row widget that contain children. So what is the first children here? The first children is text widget, so we can copy this, paste here, and we need to change the text, so we will have $sign here, and I think remove this, and let's check its semi-bold. And for the color, so let's change to K dark brown. For the size is 3.5. And now we will have this price. And the next step is we will have this star icon. So we can copy this and wrap this using row widget. And here we can say like icon, and we can say icon.star. And here we can change the color to be yellow. And now we will see. And for the size, let's change to 16. And for this, let's change to be 3. And it will be regular. And for the color will be dark brown. Okay. And the text will be 5.0. And what we need to say here, we need to say space between. And make sure to be center using cross-axis alignment to be center. And between icon and text, we will have size box here 8. All right. And what we need to do, we can go to this, I think, content. This image is small. So I think the problem comes from the image because it's too small. Yeah, I think it's too small. So we still using box width dot cover. Alright, so we have finished this masonry grid view or staggered grid view. The last but not least, we need to add this floating bottom bar. So what we need to say, so first thing first, we need to go to the scaffold widget, and here we will have like bottom navigation bar. So what we need to set here, we can say floating action button, and we will use container to wrap our widget. And the next is height, set it to be 64. And for the child, we will use custom navigation bar. And inside this one, we will say is floating set to true, and border radius, set it to be radius circular, set it to be 40. So let's check this app style. Alright, so we hardcode using 40, and as we can see here, it's 40. And the next is a unselected color will be white, and I'm sorry, this is selected color. Unselected color will be gray. And for the background color will be brown, and for the stroke color will be transparent. And the next is scale factor. So set it to 0.1. Icon size, set it to 40. And the required one is item. So for the item, we use custom navigation bar item. So inside this one, we can set like icon. So we will use a ternary operator using current index variable. So first thing first, let's create new integer, name it as current index, set it to 0. Alright, and when the current index equal with 0, the icon will be svg picture.assets, and we say assets home icon selected.svg. And we just need to copy this, paste here. I'm sorry, copy this and paste here. Give a comma here. Okay. And we just need to add unselected here. And we just need to duplicate this 3 times and change this to 1, 2, and 3. And this will be chart, favorite, and account. So we just need to change this to chart, and then favorite, and this to favorite also. And the last but not least is account. So we can see on the left, okay, and let's hot reload. We will have this floating action button. So the next step is we need to place this to center. So we need to go here and say floating action button location. We will say floating action button location dot center float. I'm sorry, center float. Center float look like this. And inside this container, we need to say padding symmetric horizontal 8. Look like this. And the next, inside this custom navigation bar, we need to say what we say here on tab using index, and inside that we say current index equal with index. But we need to place this in set state, look like this. And for current index, we will say current index. And restart our app. And now when we press this, the icon will be changed, look like this. And we still have one problem here. Okay. So let's check the design. This is the home screen. Alright, so we have this, it's kind of like header section, and then text field, custom, and then we have custom, custom tab bar, and staggered grid view, and this floating bottom navigation bar. Alright, so yeah, I think it's similar. So in the next time or in the next video, we will try to convert another screen, which is second and third screen. So yeah, I think that's enough. My video today. If you want to download the source code, link in the description below. And if you have any questions or comment, write it down on the comment field. Thanks so much and see you again on the next video.